All right. So we're going to dive into something that most people don't really think about every day,
Hmm.
and that is copyright.
Okay.
We all download books, especially like those classics we love, without, really considering who owns the rights.
Yeah, that's true.
Right.
We often assume if it's old and like considered a classic,
Right.
it's just free game.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But what if I told you a book written in 1866,
Okay.
like Frederick Douglass's book on Reconstruction,
Hmm.
could still have copyright implications today?
It does sound counterintuitive, especially since we usually associate like copyright with more like recent works.
Yeah, that's the fascinating part.
Yeah.
So the version we're looking at is from Project Gutenberg.
Okay.
You know, that awesome online library with tons of free ebooks?
Mm-hmm.
Mostly public domain stuff.
Right.
Which means anyone can use it freely.
Right.
But this specific ebook of On Reconstruction is actually copyrighted.
That's where things get interesting.
Yeah.
The key here is understanding the difference between the original work and what we call a derivative work.
Okay, I'm all ears. Break it down for me.
So Douglass's original text from 1866,
Okay.
definitely public domain.
Okay.
Copyright doesn't last forever.
Right.
And that's intentional.
Yeah.
The idea is to balance the rights of creators with the public's access to knowledge and culture.
Right.
After a certain period, works become free
Yeah.
for anyone to use and build upon.
So that makes sense. The original writing is free to use.
Right.
But if that's the case, how can the ebook version
Right.
have its own copyright?
Think of it this way. Project Gutenberg put in a lot of effort to create this ebook.
Okay.
They scanned the original text,
Uh-huh.
transcribed it, meticulously proofread everything,
Wow.
and formatted it into a digital format.
Right.
We can easily read on our devices.
Yeah.
That's a significant amount of work, creating a new derivative work from the original.
Oh, so it's kind of like a band recording a cover of a really old public domain song.
Exactly.
They don't own the original song,
Right.
but they do own their specific recording and arrangement of it.
That's a great analogy.
Okay.
Project Gutenberg holds what's called a compilation copyright,
Okay.
which protects their specific edition of On Reconstruction,
Okay.
not Douglass's original words themselves.
That makes a lot more sense.
Yeah.
And I'm guessing that's why the ebook clearly states
Yeah.
this is a copyrighted Project Gutenberg ebook.
Exactly.
They want to make sure people understand it's their version that's protected.
Exactly. And this brings us to another interesting aspect, the license.
Okay.
They're giving it away for free, but there are still rules about how you can use it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So it's free, but not a total free-for-all.
Right.
That's where the license comes in.
Right. Project Gutenberg uses what's called a permissive license. Think of it as having lots of freedom with the ebook, but within certain boundaries, it's not just about protecting Project Gutenberg. It's also about ensuring the book remains accessible to everyone in the future.
It sounds like a delicate balancing act, protecting the work while also promoting open access.
Absolutely. Let's imagine someone took Project Gutenberg's ebook, slapped their own name on it, and started selling it. That would undermine Project Gutenberg's entire mission. Their license prevents that kind of exploitation, ensuring their work can continue.
So in a way, this seemingly restrictive license actually promotes broader access to these classic works.
Precisely. And the license itself is pretty interesting. You're free to copy share, even modify the ebook. Imagine creating your own study guide with added notes, or even translating it into another language. All of that is permitted.
That's pretty cool. It's like open source software, but for literature, I never thought about it being able to modify an ebook like that.
It's all about encouraging a community of sharing and collaboration, and it speaks to Project Gutenberg's philosophy. Knowledge thrives when it's freely exchanged.
Okay, so let me see if I've got this straight. The original text of On Reconstruction is public domain because it's old enough. But Project Gutenberg's digital edition of the book is protected by their compilation copyright.
Exactly. Their specific version is protected, but they grant us a lot of freedom to use it through their permissive license.
This is definitely more nuanced than I initially realized. I just assumed public domain meant everything was free to use, no strings attached.
Copyright is full of these interesting twists and turns, and it's evolving all the time, especially as technology changes how we create and consume content. Think about all the digital books we access now, not just from Project Gutenberg, but through apps, online stores, and libraries.
That's true. It makes you wonder how copyright will adapt to keep up with the digital world and ensure that authors, publishers, and readers are all treated fairly.
It's an ongoing conversation for sure, and one that affects all of us, whether we realize it or not.
It really highlights how copyright isn't just some abstract legal concept, right?
Yeah.
It affects how we access and interact with information every day, especially in this digital age.
And it sparks some interesting ethical questions, too. Like,
Mm.
where do we draw the line between protecting someone's creative work and ensuring access to knowledge for everyone.
Right? Like, some people might argue if the original text of a book is public domain, any digital version should also be completely free with no copyright restrictions at all.
That's a valid point.
Yeah.
And it reflects a core principle, open access.
Right.
But then we have to consider like the practical side of things.
Yes.
Creating and maintaining a massive digital library like Project Gutenberg takes a ton of work and resources.
Yeah, it's not like these ebooks just magically appear online.
Right.
Someone has to scan those old pages, proofread everything, format it for digital reading.
Exactly.
That all costs time and money.
Exactly. And if there were absolutely no protections for that effort, who would be willing to invest in it?
Right.
It's a delicate balance, ensuring these works are preserved and accessible while recognizing the value of the work that goes into making it happen.
So Project Gutenberg's model seems to strike a compromise.
Yeah.
They make their ebooks free to use, but with that license that lays out some ground rules.
And ultimately, that license is what allows them to continue doing what they do.
Right.
It protects their investment while still allowing for a lot of freedom in how people use the ebooks.
This whole deep dive has really made me think about the complexities of copyright in a new way.
Yeah.
It's not just about restricting access,
Right.
but about finding ways to promote sharing and creativity within a framework that works for everyone.
It's a fascinating topic and one that will only become more relevant as more works enter the public domain and technology continues to evolve.
Right.
We all have a role to play in shaping how copyright functions in the digital age.
So before we wrap up, what's the one key takeaway you hope listeners will walk away with?
I'd say it's this. The next time you download a free ebook, take a moment to think about the story behind it, the author, the people who digitized and shared it, and the delicate balance of copyright that makes it all possible.
Yeah.
It's a reminder that even in the digital world, there's a human element to everything we access and share.
A great point to end on. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive into the fascinating world of copyright and Project Gutenberg. Until next time, keep exploring and keep learning. Thury set.